Oh, hey, welcome back to 𝘑𝘦𝘴𝘵. I figured today we'll tackle the fuel pump in 𝘵𝘳𝘬𝘳 for the new Holley Sniper EFI system. Come join us right after the intro.
White snow, red sky, reach up for so high. Blue eyes, fake cry, beware of the fox tonight.
Alrighty guys, so if you're coming from the first EFI video, I went through all of the parts that we will be putting on this car. Today I figured that we would start with the tank. So I picked up the in-fuel factory replacement pump, high pressure pump for the EFI system. I also got their fuel line kit. This is part of it. This is the stuff that I think we're going to need today. If I need something else, we'll dive into it. I'll pull it out of the box. But I grabbed the hose clamps, the fuel filters, some fuel line. This is the rest of the kit for the fuel pump. So it comes with, I guess what they're calling a hydro mat. Basically, I do believe this is so that way the fuel pump doesn't pick up any air bubbles. It makes it easier for the fuel pump to get the last of the fuel out of the bottom of the tank. You have your O-ring and your lock ring, and you have the harness for it. It's pretty simple. I think the hardest part's going to be pulling the old tank down and getting the pump and stuff out of that. Was going to do a last run and fire up for you guys of the Pontiac 400 with the carburetor, but I pulled it out to do an oil change on one of our other cars, and it ran out of fuel getting back in the garage. So tank should be empty. We'll see. Another good thing about doing this fuel pump is it comes with a new sending unit. Now, either the sending unit in my old one is bad, hence the reason why it ran out of gas, or I have a bad gauge. Either could be true. I do plan on upgrading both the gauges and the wiring harness in this car in the future, but that's expensive, and I don't have the money for it after dropping all the money on the Sniper. But this should get us going and get us started on this project. So we're going to drop the tank, and we're going to see where we are at that point. So let's get underneath the car and see what it's going to take to drop the tank out of this car. It should be fairly simple, but we'll see. All right, I'll catch you underneath the car. Alrighty, so we're underneath the back end of 𝘵𝘳𝘬𝘳. This is the gas tank right here. We got 4 bolts to drop the tank. There's one. I'll bring you over here and show you. Hold on. There is one right there. There is one down at the other end of the strap. And there is one right up here. And one right up here. There is going to be some wires for the sending unit being running through here. And there is also the fuel line, which is right here. So we'll have to cut that. This is the hard line. We will try to reuse the hard line and see if we can get this tank out of here. Once we get it out, we'll work on the rest of it up on the bench. Alright, with the tank out, gonna give it a quick inspection. I haven't had this tank out before. It looks like we have some vent lines over here. Helps if I show you what I'm looking at. So vent lines run over here. It looks like one of them comes up and goes into the sending unit. Another one is vented to the top of the tank and runs down along the back, does a kink, and then comes back around to the second vent tube right here. This would be our feed line for the engine, and that comes out right there. We have, I'm guessing, to be our sending unit wire and our ground. So I'm going to clean up this area here so nothing gets dropped down into the tank. And of course, car has to go by. But anyway, so I'm going to clean up this area so nothing drops down in the tank, and bring you back from there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the vent tubes. Hold on, I got a lady sanding her concrete behind me with a freaking palm sander. I'll be back after I close the garage door. Alright, now that that's out of the way, yeah, I'm not kidding. Fucking sanding the freaking concrete with a palm sander. But anyway, I'm going to clean this area up, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the vent tubes. The new sending unit does not have a vent tube. Also, it's bent differently, so I'm going to have to see where that ends up in relationship to my hard line that goes to the front of the car. We'll figure that out after I get this old sending unit out and see where this one drops in. I'll be back after I get some stuff cleaned up. Alrighty, so we have the old sending unit out of the original tank. I've cleaned up the area and everything, got it ready for the new one. Also did some investigating to figure out where some of this stuff goes. This is the original vent that goes to the charcoal canister. It loops around and pops out here. We will replace this hose and rehook that back up to the charcoal canister. I don't know if we actually need it anymore, but we'll do it. The other line that ran through here, which is attached to the, I guess the pickup tube. This is an actual return line from the fuel pump. I didn't realize this car had a return line, but this is a return line for the fuel pump. This is the main feed line. we won't need a return line, so I'm not going to worry about that. This has a in tank basically overpressurization for return built right into the pump. I don't need to worry about that. This is a ground strap, which is what we thought it was. There's a ground strap included in the harness. It's what this black and white wire is. This is ground to chassis, and that one over here is ground to battery. This line right here, this is the sending unit for the gauges. I do believe that is the purple wire in this harness. So again, we'll just connect that purple wire to the lead inside the car that went to the gas tank. So everything is taken care of as far as that. You have your old filter. Helps if I'm in frame. You have your old filter, the sending unit, which I do believe is faulty on my car. Doesn't matter. We have a new one. So if we take a look at the new pump, let me get this one out of the way. If we take a quick peek-see at the new pump, you have the pump itself, which will get their sock on it. What do they call that? The hydromat. Has their filter / hydromat. You have the pump, you have the internal regulator, and then you have their sending unit right here. And then all the wirings that go up to the top. To get this in the tank, we are going to have to remove these 2 screws to remove the sending unit off of this assembly to be able to fit the assembly down in the tank. We'll reattach it once it's in the tank. We'll show you how to do that here in a second. But that's about as far as I can explain. You have your original lock ring and gasket. Kit provides you with a new one, so that's good. I mean, this one's not super bad, but got a new one. So let's get back to putting this in the tank. I'm going to do a few steps over here with that sending unit to remove it, and we can start dropping this in the tank. So. Alright, you want to make sure that the hydromat is completely seated. Make sure to push on the plastic part and hold the fuel pump. You got to wiggle it a little bit to get it all the way down, but it will get all the way down. I think this might have to go down just a hair more. But it's you got to make sure it's in there firmly. And then we can take it over to the tank and put it in the tank. Alrighty, we're gonna feed this down in here. Remember, I have the sending unit unscrewed. We will screw that back in once we get it down in the tank. They want us to first tape up the opening around the gas tank to keep it from cutting the hydromat. I don't think it's going to really cut it, but we're going to protect it anyway, just in case. Guess better safe than sorry mode. Alright, now they want us to feed the long part of the hydromat in first. I'm not an expert. I am doing this as you see I'm doing it. Never done it before. See how this goes. Stuff this down in there. And then poke that other end in. And then we can feed. Let's get this up out of the way. Feed the water pump down in. Definitely going to take some maneuvering to get it around. Alright, and then they want us to feed. How am I getting this in here? Send the unit in. Feed that down in next to there. Okay. And then that's going to have to go in there. Can you see what I'm doing? I hope you can see what I'm doing. Alright, now we should be able to tighten this back in now that we have this all fished down in. It says to torque them down to 23 inch-pounds. I don't have an inch-pound torque wrench, but I'm going to guess that's hand tight. My advice to you, if you have an inch-pound torque wrench, torque it down. Alright, and we're going to tuck the wires back up in here. Where they were, nice and neat. And we are going to, at this point, get that down in here. Now I'm going to remove the tape at this point because it's basically in here. I'm going to figure out which way this is going to go. I'm going to assume it's going to go this way in some sort of fashion, which is going to be kind of hard because probably like that. My gas tank is down. My gas tank hard line is on that side, and it's putting it over here on the passenger side. So, kind of have to run a soft line over to that side to get to it. It's at this point that we're going to run our lock ring and stuff down on. Not quite sure if there's a right way for this to go in, but you got to feed this over top of your feed line and your harness. They said they did it at 2 different times. I'm just going to say I'm going to do it at the same time here because I'm not going to try to fish this through twice. This has got to stretch over here. It does it super easy. And I don't know if you can see this, but I'm making sure that my O-ring is seating down in this nice little groove here very easily. And now is the fun part of trying to figure out where they want this line to go, because I have this other line that's right in the way of where it looks like they want this to sit. Alrighty, as you can see, I had some trouble with the stock vent tube being in the way. They are pretty close. But after moving this up out of the way a little bit, so that way they could duck under, I was able to get the lock ring started and get it spun over. It appears to be where it needs to be for proper installation. Though I didn't realize that I had locked the... I'll have to fix this. I might have to pop this ring back out and pull that out around. I didn't realize that the... But anyway, this part is installed. We're going to go back underneath the car and figure out where we're going to pop this half of the wiring harness up into the trunk. I might have to get a grommet. But figure out where we're going to run the wiring underneath of the back of the car. Alright, well, it's actually 2 days later from that last clip. I did end up cleaning up and painting the tank. We did end up getting the wire out from underneath of there. I have decided, after lots of looking underneath of the car and deciding and planning how I wanted to run not only the fuel line but the electrical line as well, that we are going to run the electrical line forward. There is a hole already in the tail pan where the sending unit wire came through. I'm going to enlarge that hole and run the wiring through there and run it up with the rest of the harness that comes around the back of the car and into the cabin. It saves me from having to put an extra hole in the body, and I'm also running wires where they already were running to begin with. So I figured that was the best plan. We also... I should have planned better before starting this. We also figured out where our fuel line was going to go and cut and ran that. It wasn't really anything to show. I was stuck underneath of the car. But I can show you where I'm going to run it now that I've had it made. Let's go back to the back of the car and take a peek at where I want to run the electrical wire, and we'll also show you where the fuel line is going to run. Alright, so we are underneath the back end of Jean Grey. And this is the hole that I am talking about enlarging. It ran the factory fuel sending wire through the body there. So we're going to run, well, the fuel sending wire and the power for the fuel pump through there as well. This is where the return line and the vacuum line originally came back. Right now, it has the fuel canister. The vapor line is this one here. This one we're no longer to be using. This was the return line, but the new fuel tank line comes out right here as well, right with the vapor line. So what we're going to end up doing is maybe eventually I'll run a new line through there, but I doubt it. We're going to run the filter up through here, up along back here, and over here to my fuel hard line, the factory fuel hard line. I have shortened it and put a new crimp on it. But we're going to run the fuel tank line up through there. Give me a second and I'll put the new line up there and you can see what I'm talking about. It's just mocked up into place here, but you can see it's going to run from there. It's going to tuck up here in this channel. There's going to be a clamp there to hold this line up there. And then if I can, we got the fuel filter, and then it's going to come down around and meet up with the outfeed of the tank. This will get shortened once I know exactly how long I need it to be. But first things first, we need to get this hose, this line enlarged, which means taking off the rear bumper. So I'm going to get to that, and I'll be back when I have the bumper off. Alrighty, now that we have the bumper off, by the way, I'm constantly amazed at how clean this freaking car is. But anyway, here's the hole that I'm referring to, and we're going to enlarge it with a step bit, if I don't lose my balance. And be able to pass the harness for the fuel pump through that. And then it could just tie into the harness that is already going through the car. But, alright, no sense creating more holes when not needed. We'll use one that was already in use. Alright, get back in a minute. Alright, so I think this is like the third day in this video. We are finally going to put that back in the car. I had to do another little project, which I do believe is coming out before this video, so you probably already saw it. If not, go check it out. We straightened out the exhaust on this car and got it looking very mint. But let's finish getting this fuel tank back up in the car and move one step further forward into getting this EFI setup running and getting this car back out shredding tires. Alright, so I have the tank sitting up on the car. It's sitting in jack stands. It's not bolted in. I have the harness out through the hole that we enlarged. I am going to come in here and hook these fuel lines and stuff up while I still have the tank loose. I have a feeling it's going to be easier to get in there at that point, but we'll see what I end up doing. I'm going to try fishing these up and through and get them in. Alrighty, so that concludes the install of the fuel pump in the tank. We will deal with tying in the wiring harness in a future episode after we get the sniper installed and figure out what all needs to go happen with that. The wires are going to run in with the body harness into the car. Try to keep it as clean as possible. As you can see, still need to get a grommet for here, but she is installed, plumbed. Fuel lines are in here somewhere. There they are. Fuel lines are installed. Alright, so that concludes another episode of 𝘑𝘦𝘴𝘵. I hope you enjoyed the install of the high pressure fuel pump from Holley. Stay tuned. We're going to be installing the rest of the Holley Sniper EFI system on this 1979 Trans Am Jean Grey. Hope to see you in the next episode. I do believe we are going to either start the ignition system or pull in the old carburetor and the front half of the fuel system off and dealing with that next. I haven't decided yet, so please be sure to visit 𝘑𝘦𝘴𝘵.com. Check out the merch, along with other links to my Instagram, my Facebook, TikTok, which is actually blowing up pretty well. I think that's on there. If not, it's 𝘑𝘦𝘴𝘵 on TikTok. And hope to see you in the comments. And Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, we have our weekly podcast. All right. Catch you later.